Hello, love. Hello. We are talking about definition within the chart today and how that affects your energy. I decided to do this as both a video and a podcast. Oh no, hold on. So, okay. So thank you for your patience on the pauses. I'm just figuring out how to make this work. Okay. Okay. Got it on there. Got it on there. So if you are listening to the podcast, I still intend to explain it well enough that you can understand that. But if you would like a visual to help understand, if you are inner vision or outer vision type person and you want to be able to look at something to understand better, then I have this as a presentation as well. So definition, when you look at your chart and there's a section on there that says single definition, split definition, triple split, or quadruple split, or if you're a reflector, then there's no definition. So what does this mean? Essentially, this means how many systems you have inside your system. So I'm just going to start from the no definition, and then as we move on, hopefully this will get a picture in your mind. So no definition is a reflector because they have no defined centers. So essentially what definition is, it's your channels that connect your defined centers, because the only way centers get defined is if both of the hanging gates that connect together are defined in the transits, and it makes a whole channel, and then it by default lights up those two centers that are defined. And so a reflector cannot have any definition inside the chart because they have no defined centers. Now, just to clarify, they do have definition inside of the hanging gates. So if you're a reflector or you know of one, you're looking at the hanging gates and their placements in order to understand the definition of a reflector. But as it stands inside of this specific definition aspect, there's no definition. And this does get confusing because it's like, you look at centers are defined or they're undefined, but then the whole chart has a type of definition. And so that's why it can be a little confusing. But for this episode, when I talk about definition, I'm talking about the specifics of the definition of the chart. So next we have single definition. And if you're looking at the video, you can see that this is actually my chart. I'm single definition because I just have the two centers defined with my one channel. I have the ajna throat connected by the 1156, and then that is it. And so with single definition, this just means that all of your defined centers are connected together. I have seen this with people with multiple centers, 3, 4, 5 centers, and they're still single definition because of all the channels that connect everything together. So I should have found one of those on here. But when it says single definition, that just means all the defined centers are connected together. So with the single definition people, you are a little more independent because your energy runs efficiently within, and your energy can talk to itself. All of your energy can talk to itself. Like for me, my head and my throat communicate together just fine. So the single definition people, again, they tend to be a little more independent because they don't really, quote unquote, need anybody to access their definition. And so this split definition, this is when we start to understand why we look at the definition. So on the visual here, you can see the split definition. There's a very wide split. That's why I got this one, so you can really see what's happening here. So on this chart, we have a very defined spleen. The spleen actually has 3 channels. 2 of them connect to the sacral. And then we have one channel connecting the sacral to the root, and then we have one channel connecting the root back to the spleen. So this is actually a whole system happening here where the spleen, sacral, and root are all talking to each other quite efficiently. And so with this generator, they probably have so much body awareness. They have, every single gate is defined in their spleen, and then it's connected to both the root and the sacral, and the sacral and root are talking to each other. So there's a lot of energy really flowing in there, a lot of body awareness, a lot of gut reaction, a lot of intuition, a lot of internal knowing. But then we look up and they have like a mental projector thing happening. They have the ajna and throat connected by the 1156. So this shows you how there's two very distinct systems happening inside of their body graph. There's a mental projector aspect, and then there's a very defined generator aspect. And then it's separated by a wide open solar plexus, a wide open heart, and an undefined G center that only has one gate. So this is what we call a wide split, because there's such a huge gap in between these two systems. And so what can happen here is that these people with the split definition can feel a little off balance when they're by themselves. I don't know if off balance is the right word, maybe inefficient, because with this system here, the intuitive aspect, like there's nothing connecting the spleen or the sacral or the root up to the throat to be manifested, to be expressed. And so when they need to be around other people to help bridge some of these gaps. And so how that works is like this spleen has the gate 48 reaching up. So if they're around someone with the gate 16, then boom, everything is connected, all their definition is connected. It's great. Then they probably feel like they can express themselves a little better around this person. Or if they find someone who defines any of this, like if someone has a defined solar plexus with the 659, then what's interesting here is they can access emotions a little better. Actually, that would be a very interesting dynamic, because this person has the 5027, and then if they find someone with the 59-6, then there's probably a lot of dynamism happening there, but there's still a big gap between all that energy and the throat. So remember, all the energy is working its way up to the throat to be expressed. So with this split definition, this person is just constantly essentially looking for somebody to bridge those splits. One split definition person described it to me, and it sounded very codependent, honestly, which just opened my eyes to the idea of codependency. Because with the split, it's like they need to be around people, and I say need loosely because I can't think of another term right now, but essentially they need to be around other people to help bridge those splits so that their energy can run more efficiently. So that sounds very codependent, right? Like this person would probably not be very happy by themselves for very long. But I mean, they are a 2-4, so that 2 line likes to hermit, but that 4 line will connect them to the correct people to help bridge those splits. So that's the split. Then we move to triple split. And so this one is just another split. It just means that there's 3 systems happening inside of here. So this one we have the crown and the ajna connected together. And then there's a little gap between the ajna and the throat. And so then we have the throat and the solar plexus connected together with the 1222. And then we have the heart and the spleen connected with the 2644. And so then there's just this kind of gap in the middle with the G, sacral, and root center. And so with this one, you can see there's 3 very distinct systems happening. So their mind is defined, constantly working, very precise, but it's not directly connected to the throat. So they might have a hard time expressing ideas until they get around other people. This one has the hanging gate 11, so they just need to connect. Like if they were around me with the 1156, then it'd be easy for them to speak their mind, to share their truth. So their throat is directly connected to the solar plexus. So this is a manifestor gate. This person is a manifestor. And so they have direct connection, direct verbal connection from their solar plexus to the throat. But then we have the other system happening with the heart connected to the spleen. So there's that channel of surrender, that entrepreneur channel, but it's just by itself. Like neither the heart nor the sacral have any other gates reaching out from it. So it's totally by itself. So it might have a harder time expressing. He might not totally understand his gifts of surrender or his gifts coming from this until he's around other people, and that channel is able to be activated and communicated. So this person, the triple split, very much is more of a social person, has probably different friend groups, is more around people because there's three systems, so there's three places that are looking for connection. So the more people this person is around, the more efficient their own system runs, the better they feel inside of their own body, and the more fluid their intuition can happen. And so then we move to the quadruple split, which is the most complex. And as you probably have guessed, that means there's 4 systems happening inside of here. So the interesting thing, Ra calls these people like the ultimate polyamorous people. He's like, there is no way that one person can meet the needs of a quadruple split person. There's no way. These people are not monogamous. I mean, take that with a grain of salt, however you want to take it, but it makes sense because with a quadruple split, there's 4 systems happening. So again, there's four splits to bridge. That would be really difficult for one person to do, to fit in those holes, because we're dynamically attracted to what we're missing. That's just energetics. That's just how it goes. So with this person, they'll probably feel one certain way around a group of people and then another way around another group of people. This person is interesting enough. They have a wide open identity center plus a quadruple split. Every other center is defined. The identity center is completely open and they're quadruple split. So this person has the potential of really dynamically connecting to different people in different ways. So this might, for this person, it might be difficult if they're trying to figure out who they actually are. Well, they're different in different environments depending on who they're around, and their environment is really important. Being quadruple split and wide open identity center here, this is incredibly important for who you're around, because you've got to be careful of who's bridging your splits and how healthy that energy is. So here on this one, just to describe it, we have the crown and ajna connected. Excuse me, we have the throat and the spleen connected with the 1648. We have the sacral and root connected. And then we have, excuse me. Okay, so the sacral and root is connected by the 360. And then we have the solar plexus and heart connected by the 4037. So it's interesting. Yeah, there's all kinds of interesting things here, but I'm just going to focus on the splits. So as you can see, the 4 different splits happening, and there's something as simple as if this quadruple split person is maybe around this triple split, because they have the 26, so they're just missing the 44. So if they get around someone with the 44 with that whole channel, then that helps connect their throat and spleen and heart and solar plexus all together. And then depending on the different gates, it just depends on what's happening. But as you can see, it would be really difficult for someone to find one person that would help bridge all of the splits together and to help run things efficiently. So that's just to say, if you're a quadruple split person or a quadruple split person, just know that, I mean, they're inherently going to be a little more social in the sense that they feel better around different people, and different people will activate different parts of them. I mean, it's the same for all of us, different people activate different parts. That's just simply energetics. But with this quadruple split, it's filling in so many gaps. So it's a very interesting thing. I'm very curious on how this feels in the body, because I mean, I'm single definition and I have no definition in my body. So to have different definitions inside the body at all, I'm just always so curious how it feels and how chaotic it feels, or how it feels around different people. So I can only really imagine and tell you what I know from learning and observing. So hopefully this helps you understand a little bit about the definitions. I get this question a lot, so I wanted to make sure to have a place to direct people to learn about this more. If you have more questions, feel free to send me a question about it, to pop in a comment and let me know. And If this, any feedback you have on this one, let me know. And again, if you're on the podcast and you don't have and you want a visual, come check it out on YouTube. And I think that's it. Yeah. I love y'all. Thank you so much for listening.